Okay, so we're going to see if we can do this without my little friend being chaotic here. Because it's been a while since we've done this in the car like this. Because he's chaotic. Just trying to get a picture with him because he's standing right here. And then he, like, every time, like, starts coming at me and slurping me and, like, pushing me into the seat further. It's like, oh, no, not that. Move the water bowl before he floods the back seat. Had a little bit of an issue. Unusual issue. Normally, the issue we have is Ziva's trying to sniff something and gets her head peed on. And she's done it. She's gotten peed on by both Taz and Gidget at this point. I don't know. It's a hot mess. But today's ordeal was... Okay, so if Gidget stops to, sniff and then pee on something, then the other two both circle back to pee on it as well. This time around, she stopped to poop. And Taz was trying to get in her business to see what was going on. And definitely, he got his face pooped on. Like, he stuck his face right up there as it was coming out. And I think she tried to stop because she didn't get very much time. Gross. Go away. But that's today's drama, so yet again we need another bath. Okay, well, that's the current moment. That's walking the dog drama. That's not anywhere near the only drama we've had today. So yesterday I talked a lot about was my 2 steps backward kind of a week, and everything kind of sucked, right? So I'm sleeping, right? It's like 7:45. 7:45. My mom calls me from the other room. And thinking, Gracie's been staying all night, so thinking potentially there could be an issue on that end, or God only knows what else, but it's got to be important if she's calling me at 7:45, right? It wasn't. She was having issues with her PayPal app, and the puppy drama is not over. In fact, it has resumed. Apparently, the lady that my mom's supposed to be getting this puppy from left it with this shipping agency, but then there was some drama about the crate not being sufficient for shipping, and they wanted like $700 up front for a new crate that was like 95% refundable or something after the puppy arrives, right? Well, this was supposed to happen on Friday, but there was a big whole ordeal about it, and my parents got into it, and my dad said to cancel it. So that was where it left off, that I was aware of. Then there was some drama with the lady said she couldn't get the puppy back from the shipping agency until X amount of dollars was paid for that to happen. So keep in mind that started on Friday. We're now on Sunday. So the puppy has been being held hostage by the shipping company until something happens. So my mom's back into trying to get the money situation figured out to send it to these people so they can rent the cage for however long or whatever. Actually, I think there's something where my mom and the lady are, splitting the cost of the crate, since it was the lady's kind of thing too. Stop. And $700 is a lot of a last minute surprise to figure out. So, because today my mom's only been worried about $500, so apparently the other lady must have put some in on the situation. My mom's trying to send her money, I think. I don't even know what all that information is. I know the PayPal is apparently jacked up, so my mom was having issues with that. So her thought was to call me to see if she could write me a check, and then I could use my PayPal. It's like, she says, have you ever sent that kind of money before? It's like, why would I send that kind of money to anybody? It's like, I don't have that kind of money, for one thing, to just, oh, surprise, this last minute thing, let me just give you $500 for something. It's like, I don't have a credit card at this point. You know, I got my car repoed, and that fell off, I think, last year. But that was like the last big thing, you know, and I haven't, it's like when I was with my ex, he like tried to make sure that I was not in any kind of situation where I could do anything on my own either. So there was a bunch of drama, and no, my credit went to shit after the car got repoed, and then I just kind of left everything alone. So no, I can't send some person $500 just because, I mean, she was going to write me the check for it and all this stuff. It's like, why are you trying to bring me into your drama? And especially at freaking 7:45 in the morning. She's like, well, I haven't slept at all. It's like, well, that sounds like a personal problem. Not my problem. I was sleeping. I was sleeping good, actually. I have this. I've been playing these chakra healing things they're specifically for dogs. Everybody's been sleeping good. So, you know, he's acting up now, but but yes, that's today's drama. So we're back into puppy mode. But when I left the house, it still hadn't been figured out yet. But then there was more drama where she was going to wake my dad up so they could go to the store. And I think it was something for a gift card or whatever, because apparently I think what they figured out was her PayPal app hadn't been all the way set up for it, or maybe it was a different app. I don't know. For whatever reason, something hadn't been completely set up all the way, so that was why it wasn't a problem. It's like, well, I guarantee mine's not going to have been set up that much better, because I don't have that kind of income at this point right now. I'm doing a little bit better since Gracie's around more, but yeah, it's a whole... But I was really annoyed with that whole thing this morning. However, I got this really cool shirt from TeeTurtle the other day that I got specifically for hanging around my family, right? So, nope, absolutely not. No can do, my friend. So my mom had a phone call or a video call going on with both my brother and his wife, and was talking about Apple Pay because she's got a freaking iPad now, so she and Gracie can FaceTime when Gracie moves to Oklahoma. So, you know, however that got started, I wasn't in the room when that all was working out. However it got started, I walked into the room and she already had them on the phone and the conversation was going. And on her little field trip this morning, she got donuts because she knows Gracie loves donuts. The problem is donuts don't love Gracie. And when she starts having like the sugary food, she like may as well grow a second head because it's like not pleasant to be around. And like, you know, her mom and dad have figured this out a long time ago that she needs protein if she's going to have anything sugary as well. But the protein has to be first. Protein did not happen first. Stop. It's okay. No. I don't want you sitting in my lap after you got your head pooped on. Gross. Anyway. So they're kind of all going around and around when I came in the room, right? And I hear them talking about the donut and, well, she only had one and blah, blah, blah. And then my mom was like working on getting like something else that had like sausage and eggs and cheese in it. And Gracie didn't want that. Gracie wanted a cheeseburger, which was fine because we had one left over, or had a couple left over from dinner last night. But the kid was being a pain. And my brother laughed at me because while my mom's trying to give her something else to eat to try to counteract the donut ordeal, I just walked in and I was like, messed up again, didn't you? Because every single time the kid has sugar like that, she gets mean. It's not just wild, it's wild and mean. So it's not real fun. And yeah. So my brother was laughing at me for that, and then I was like, "Hey," I said, "since you're on the video chat, I said you'll probably appreciate this." I said, "I got this nice new shirt for when I'm hanging out with my mom," and they appreciated it, and they understood exactly why too. So I haven't even had a chance to talk to my brother separately and tell him anything about what happened this morning. He just kind of ended up in the middle of it because my mom probably called. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, they're all a mess, so. Spent some time. I pulled my cards for the day. And, of course, the first one up is this. It's an ugly duckling card that says "See Beyond the Past," and it talks about how the ugly duckling, of course, with the story, was made fun of by all the by all the ducks because they said he was ugly and all that stuff, and he didn't look like them, and blah blah blah. But then, at the end of the story, he grows into be this beautiful black swan and way prettier than all the common ducks. But yet, since he'd been made fun of for so long, kind of struggled with self-esteem, right? So, as happens. And the card says, "See beyond the past." And of course, it talks about this, and it says to remember who you are as you were created to be, and not as the world around you made you believe yourself to be, kind of a thing. And then the next card was one of my tiger cards. Interestingly, they came out together this time. So it was Claim Your Power and then the Sacred Boundaries card. And of course, Claim Your Power talks about stop playing small, remember who you are, and, start taking action on or in the direction you're supposed to be taking, right? And the other one, Sacred Boundaries, the first card mentioned it. The first card talks about being in the masculine energy, and the second card talks about the feminine energy, and talks about how Tigress doesn't even entertain whether she should allow something toxic or dramatic in her environment. She doesn't consider even allowing it because she knows that nothing good can come from it, right? It's like my family. And then there was another one that was 34, Metamorphosis. It was the butterfly card. It talked about the process of turning from a caterpillar into a butterfly is extremely painful, and it's destroying everything that was in order to create and become the new thing, right? And then the last card was this Perception card. It had an ostrich on it, and it had the image of the ostrich with its head buried in the sand, and it's talking about how your emotional perception, or how emotions affect your perception. And if you're, in the position, like, being insecure and feeling doubts and whatnot because, because of your past, like going back to that first card, then everything else becomes more difficult, right? So it's like, if you're, hey, quit that. Like, if you're, locked into the negativity, then everything you perceive around you is going to be that much harder and more complicated. And I feel like that's kind of going along with yesterday, and how this whole week was kind of a shit show. It just felt like, my little pat on the back to knock that out and keep on going, right? 444, as I mentioned that. Yeah. Another thing that was kind of interesting was like the cards. I've talked about adding the numbers together before, and I don't remember what the first one was, but the second card was a 25, so that's a 7. And then the next one was 43, which was a 7. And then the next one was 34, which was also a 7. So it's like my 3 middle cards were 7, 7, 7. It's like, okay. There's something there too. I just like touched the keys and the back seat jumped, so I don't know what's happening. I knew I wanted to get on here and do a video, especially talking about that shit this morning. But then it's like, I feel like I'm getting enough of that. I feel like I'm in a better spot, especially after the cards and all that fun stuff. And some focused intention setting on clearing my energy from my mother's bullshit. And yeah. Watch this Richard Grannon little short thing he had. He was talking about the narcissist smile. He's talking about dead eyes and like just the corners of the mouth going up, so it's not to show any kind of emotion or anything. And I think the point of it was more as a response to when you get that from the narcissist, and it's like, this is it, kind of a way you can respond with that, but don't show any emotion. And it's like, yeah. I feel that so much, because what the fuck is that? Why is that purple? Okay. I think my little sticker here looks like I got in a car accident. Blew a tire or something. But there's nothing on the other side of it, so I have no idea why it is purple on this side. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, if it was over there, I'd say it just the water leaked, but I don't know what that is and why that's purple. Anyway. Like the first thing it made me think of, it's like when I was having that conversation with my mom back in December, where it was December 1st. Yeah, because he died on the 3rd. Where I ended up having to pull her out into the waiting area and told her at some point it had to be okay for that man to die. Like, just the conversation, like, at one point, like, that was pretty much how she stared at me the whole time, with just those dead, vacant eyes, and just not impressed with my crap kind of a thing. And just like, and at one point, she started getting a little cocky because, she threw in that piece of, you are codependent. It's like, yeah, because you raised me that way. And I said, but that's an argument for another day. I said, today's point of conversation is it has to be okay for that man to die. And yeah, but there wasn't so much a smile in that conversation though, but that same dead-eyed look and all that crap. But the icky smile did come about that day that that asshat stuck his hand in the car window and got bit by Taz when Taz was already snarling and going off on him. And then it was that gloat because Sarah's dog bit somebody. It's like, he wasn't out of line. Asshat was out of line for sticking his damn hand in the car. And I mean, if the dog is already snarling at you, that is not the opportunity to put your hand in there and let the dog sniff it. It's not. So yeah. I was watching Dr. Ramani videos last night. And God, what was she talking about? It's just so... It's kind of weird because, okay, when I moved back up here after I left my ex for the last time, I got a book from the library, which was a Dr. Ramani book, and it was called Should I Stay or Should I Go? It was something about relationships with narcissists and all this stuff. And I was very into that book and got a lot out of it and kind of started appreciating, like, I feel like I've always seen through my mom and my grandfather's bullshit and like the narcissism thing. But at the same time, especially with my mom, there's more of the trauma bonding where not everything sucked. So there were some okay moments in there as well, but then there were enough of the shitty moments that it was kind of hard to disconnect completely. Which, as I've said, I was not raised to have my own life. I was raised specifically to forever feed into the toxic cycle, right? And that didn't work for me. So, of course, I had this, I guess, question that I posed somewhere along the line of what causes people to get into relationships and feel so completely stuck that they can't get out of them. And then I had the connection with my ex, the narcissist ex, and yes, narcissist, because he was the one that, the court ordered psych eval, said he needed further testing to rule out NPD, which narcissistic personality disorder. It's like, when we got the results back from his test, I did gloat on that one. It's like, I knew it! He shifted to that dead-eyed look at me and kind of, saving the what can I do to you next kind of a thing. But yeah, like I think when he had to have the psych eval and then it came back that way, it was like a confirmation for me that I wasn't just completely wrong all the time, because especially with him, he was, in my mom, it's like they go out of their way to find ways to tear you down and make you feel crazy all the time. Like that, I knew I let myself get screwed over in the divorce because I was so sick and tired of dealing with his shit, and I knew he didn't care if he had to pay me money for like the rest of his life or whatever. He wouldn't have cared at that point, because for him, he was trying to confirm the story that he was always telling, where I was only after him for his money. So when I left, I knew he literally just wanted me to come down there all the time, waste money for one thing. And also he was trying to bait me with how he wasn't going to get an attorney. He would just represent himself in that one. And it's like, he is okay with letting me have money and all these other things from the standpoint of then he'll be able to prove his story to everybody else. And I was like, I'm not interested in that. So I ended up, he had 3 freaking vehicles, right? And I maxed out one of my student loans one semester to get the truck ready to move to Alabama because it didn't have a working AC. So that was a big part of it. But I spent $4,000 on different things for this truck to get it ready to make the trip. And then when I had a list of things, I was trying to divide everything out somewhat fairly. He was going to get 2 cars. Granted, one of them didn't work because he let the transmission blow in it and not get fixed. Because when the tax check came that year, he wanted to get a new car rather than fix the one we already had. So there was a car that didn't work in the driveway. But then there was also the new one with the $500 car payment, $550 if I'm remembering correctly. That was all on him. So it's like, but then he didn't want me to have the truck. So, I mean, it goes back to, he didn't want me to have anything, and he definitely wasn't going to try to make it easy on me, by any means. So I definitely let myself take a hit on that one. And while it's irritating to know that I'm continuing to have money, because it was a loan, a student loan, it's still building interest while I'm not able to pay it right now. So, so that's something that's just kind of waiting on me. And it's like, everything he accused me of, it's like he's actually the one that was doing it, right? So his job's paid better than anything I ever had. But at the same time, my money mainly went into the joint account. And at one point, he ended up with a separate account that I had no idea what was in it or what wasn't. So I thought there was a thing that needed moved. Anyway, but yeah, so he spent all this time accusing me of only being after him for his money and all this bullshit. It's like, he made a lot better money, because I think when I left, he was at like $36 an hour or close to 40. But yeah, I had a little delivery job, and the thing I did to save myself on that end was I got the delivery job with the intention of saving some money and setting some money aside so I could get moved out of there. And so the first thing I did when I got the job was go down and open up a separate bank account, and I had $75 every week go into the joint account, and the rest of it went to my separate account, because I didn't know what was going in his separate account. I knew that's the one he made house payments out of and all that shit. So it's like, and then I remember one night after his son moved down there with us, we were coming back from a restaurant, and he was hyping his son up with what they were going to do with my money when it started coming in. And they were talking about, ooh, we could get a gym membership and all this stuff. And it's like, they're literally just planning on spending my money around me, which is basically what he's been doing the whole time. And I just was none the wiser, because I always was the one getting accused of being after his money, and yet he was literally pissing mine away. And I missed that. And that goes back to, like, I missed it because my whole life has made it so I had a really hard time trusting myself, which is why this whole, like the whole YouTube thing has been so important for me. It's like literally me learning to trust myself and make the connections of where these things came in at. I got to figure it out myself, because I can remember how all the things, I can remember different ways that things came together and different things I was accused of that I always knew were bullshit, but then at the same time couldn't deny, because I didn't understand. Because, okay, like on the money end of things, it's like the outgo was always outgoing, right? But then it was like dumb shit, because there at the end, he was just collecting animals, and okay, when we didn't get his son for Father's Day in 2017, because we had him for spring break that year, and then his mom let us have him for spring break because she was trying to set up the next thing on her plan with how she could keep his family from ever having anything to do with him again. And because her means of doing so involved very extensive lies about people in the family, and particularly people in the family who weren't doing anything. My ex was an asshole in and of himself, but he still wasn't doing the things she was trying to accuse him of doing. But his brother, I've said time and again, and I will continue to say it, I am confident that I ended up in that connection with my ex specifically to help my former brother-in-law out and get him cleared of the bullshit that my ex was bringing him into. And on that end, I did do that. I was able to help him. And while I don't feel like my ex was the best space for his kid to end up with, his son's mom was like, even, I won't say that she was worse, but she just proved her instability, because every time somebody would catch on to the lies, then, he'd get jerked out of that therapist, doctor, school, and shifted into somewhere else so she could start telling them the stories all over again until somebody else would catch on. So it's like, you can't forever jerk somebody out of every environment that they're in until somebody just forever believes your lies, when, that in and of itself, because if all you're doing is lying, then you're not able to keep up with your own story, right? So that was like the biggest thing was, my ex was a shitty father, completely. But he was so worried about making himself look good that he would at least keep the kid in at one therapist office if the court said he needed to stay in some consistent place, right? So that was the one thing I could rely on, was my ex's vanity of making himself appear so much better than his son's mother. So it's like, we'll just, we just got to take it on that end. But at least the brother was able to be cleared for the bullshit he was getting accused of. Which, again, is one of those things, it's like, there's no winning in that kind of situation anyway, because, like, one's just, making herself look crazy as fuck, and the other one's just sadistic as fuck. But neither of those options is a healthy environment for the child. And there had been talk at one point about the child possibly living with my former in-laws. It's like, that probably would be a decent option even, except there's a reason that their kids turned out like they did. Especially that kid. That one's got lots of, I don't know, a whole lot of icky issues. But, it's like, since I set the intention of figuring out why people end up in situations they feel stuck in, the only way to learn that lesson is to go through it and feel stuck and get to that, like, point of, doesn't look like there's any better way, and then, eventually being able to start finding some kind of way, right? And, one of the first things that really started me on, after I left my ex and moved back in with my parents, part of what started this was, actually, I think, excuse me, sinuses are all draining today. I started, I don't even know what it was in 2019, but something got me thinking about the whole empath thing. And, that was something that had come up in, I want to say 2014-ish, probably, when I was doing my, I think that's when I ended up doing my internship. Maybe 13. In the internship, there was a hospital chaplaincy internship. I I don't remember what, it was like the class portion of it. And so like there was a group of like 10 of us, and we had these two teachers that were the hospital chaplains that, were working on us with this other stuff too. And we had this class where we were watching this PowerPoint thing, and they were talking about empaths and how there are these people that basically pick up on all this energetic stuff from their environment, but then my stomach's making noises too. But often, don't even realize that they're doing it, kind of a thing. But I remember hearing about this thing, and we were talking about it a little bit. But as she's talking about it, I got so distracted on like the way she pronounced something instead, and it was just like I was completely distracted away from this thing that I didn't entirely register all that what she was saying as something that I needed to pay attention to, because I was distracted by this other thing. So then, that 2013, 2014, in that time frame. So then when I came back around to this idea, of course, there was, the military piece is just like, I think that came up after, it would have been after military, because I got out of my advanced training, my AIT, in January 2012. And of course, in basic training, that was when I had to go in as battle buddy for this kid that had been sexually assaulted by one of the drill sergeants. And when me and this other girl, we got asked to stand in with her while she went in front of all these cadre, right? So that's in and of itself a terrifying thing, because, oh God, don't fuck up. I was like, yeah, but you also can't say no to this situation, because the girl has to talk to him, and it's voluntold for sure. So, we go in there with her, and like, as the cadre were walking in, it's like I just get hit with this wave of emotion, and it was like all I could do to keep from falling to my knees in tears. And it's like, before they'd walked in, there was a lot of like anger, but then like as soon as they walked in, it was like this even more intense wave, and it was everything I could do to keep from falling to the floor and just like bawling my eyes out. And I've talked about my military experience on here quite a lot, from that same end, because basic training, this was the thing that made me realize there was something going on, and I was picking up stuff in my environment, right? So basic training was it was very, very difficult. And of course, it's supposed to be, right? But for me, it was like, the more I tried to blend in, the more I stood out. And it's like, what the fuck is happening here? Well, apparently that has something to do with Uranus being square my Venus in Leo, in my birth chart, because it talks about like something with, if you try to conform or blend in, then you might, you find even, it's like it draws in kind of negative attention, which is exactly what it was doing. I'll have to find that thing again. I saved it in a few spots because it comes up every now and then. It's like, yep, that's still the case. And it's kind of like a reminder of, oh, remember this time that you were thinking about where you were doing that and it brought more attention to you? It's like, yeah, and it was so silly because I went in, my hair was chin length, but my hair is really thick. And since it was that long, or only that long, I couldn't pull it back. I mean, mainly because it was as thick as it was. So I got bitched at so much for my hair. And I tried to, I tried to do what they were telling me, tried to blend in and tried all these things, and nothing was ever working, and I kept getting yelled at. And it was so stupid because it's like the one day that I was kind of like, well, fuck it, if you're going to yell at me anyway, I pulled what I could of my hair back, which ended up being like this little nub of hair up here, right? And one of the drill sergeants started making fun of me and saying that I looked like a Teletubby. I was like, you know what? I don't even care, because at least it's because of something that I actually did rather than the things that I couldn't do but was just always getting yelled at. So it's like, at least that way I was getting yelled at for something I actually did. But it's like, because I didn't have any other option really. So I did end up, I think the last couple weeks, I finally went to the barber shop on, I think they did that Sunday afternoon, and just got it all hacked off. It's like, fuck it, it'll grow back. You know, and it's like, even that, like when I was growing up, I always used to hide behind my hair, and I didn't realize how much that was the case until I was in undergrad, and I think I went to like here, a little longer than chin length, and oh my god, I think I cried because it was very overwhelming, and then I couldn't hide behind my hair anymore. So, yeah. But then, yeah. And that was kind of weird too, because once I cut my hair off in basic, it's like all these, hold on. Yeah, so then I cut my hair off at the end of basic training, and it's like all the female drill sergeants especially were like, I think dumbfounded that I had done it. But then they started complimenting me all the time on the fact that I had done it too, and I think it was more that I got sick of it to the point where I just was like, fuck it, it'll grow back. You know, and just get rid of all of it then. So here goes some. You can have more. What else? No, the funny thing was there were a couple drill sergeants that ended up cutting their hair really short after I did. So it's like, interesting. Am I just the trendsetter now? Sick of your bullshit, so just cut it all off. And yeah. And then I had thought, there was this other thing. In basic training at one point, I had like twisted my ankle real good, and I had to go get it checked out, and the doctor at the med center said, well, you wear boots all the time, you'll be fine, right? So he didn't give me any kind of profile or anything to have any precautions taken on what I could or couldn't do, because I was going to be wearing my boots all the time and it wouldn't matter. But that didn't account for... Stop. No, you got pooped on with that face, damn it. Gross. Yeah, he didn't take into account the part where, PT, I was going to have to be wearing tennis shoes for that. Why are you licking your hand sanitizer? I'm gonna get out of here and leave you alone. He hates it when I do that. But yeah, so since they didn't give me a profile or anything, and I was kind of, I fucked my ankle up, but nobody cared, right? So I had one day, I wore boots to PT, and it was funny, like they made fun of me for it. But again, it was like, at least it's for something I did this time, because every other time it was just, trying to blend in doesn't work. So just embrace the fact that you stand out, I guess, and you piss people off, but whatever. Just getting made fun of, so whatever. But they were doing that anyway. So what'd that matter? This is not somewhere I want to sit for too long because it's kind of chilly out here. which is, yeah, well, is what it is. It's like, I think it's probably 50, or at least now. So yeah, that's my basic training moments, my claim to fame moments, I guess. Cause yeah, I got made fun of, but at least I did something those times. You know, that's kind of the other part, is like with the family, you know, because my grandpa was always on my ass about, why do you always got to do everything different? You know, it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah, might as well just embrace it, I guess. So, you know, my grandfather's the reason that I always tried to conform for everything, and then that did not go in my favor at all. So, you know, when I get to the point of, fuck it, see what happens, then, you know, I could at least take it on that end. It's like, yeah, you're making fun of me, and I don't care, but you were making fun of me before, and I didn't do anything, but at least this time I did something. So, I think the silly thing was, okay, so my last name's Jones, so it's like, I should be able to blend in with this kind of last name, right? Not for me. One of my battle buddy, bestie, she, you know, she was, I think, a couple years older than, okay, there was a small group of us that were kind of older. This clown. We were older, and the oldest one was 40, and then I think I was 28 when I went in. No. And then the next girl was 30, and then there was another one that's 32. But the one who... Stop. I do not want to hold you. And get out again. But yeah, the one girl, she had recently gotten divorced, but her last name, while she was there, she's since gone back to her, her maiden name. Unless she's got remarried since then. I don't know. I haven't talked to her in forever. We were friends on Facebook. I don't know that we still are. But yeah. But her last name while we were in was Rasmussen, and they always said that when they were yelling at me, and it's like, well, at least it's not my name. So I mean, if you're gonna yell at me, fine. But nobody really knows who you're yelling at, so I mean, well, everybody knew they were yelling at somebody, probably me, but but it's like, I just always have drawn to these kind of things, right? So what do you do with that? Oh, the empath thing. That was where I started wandering again. Okay, so 2019, I get started up at the first factory job, and I decided one night I wanted to look up something with empaths, just get more information about this idea, right? And so I did, and it led me to this Victor Odo, and I started following him and watching his videos and what he had to say about the whole thing, and it's like, well, I absolutely relate to a lot of what he's talking about. So, you know, and then that ended up leading me to this thing where I ended up coming across this Aaron Doughty guy, and attempted meditation. I had some trippy as fuck instances on that one. The first... Okay, so I would do these little meditations as I was getting ready for work. Like, before I got out of bed to get ready for work, I would do these little meditations. And sometimes I would do them before bed. And I think... Okay, the one night I did it before bed, I had this dream, and there was like this purple disc. There were two purple discs, and one was kind of spinning this way around, and then the other one was like upright, right? But they didn't seem like they were connected, but they were both rotating, and they were both purple. And they had like all these weird symbols on it that I didn't really know what to make of it, right? So then I was like, that's kind of interesting. But then when I woke up the next morning, actually this might not have been, I think it wasn't a day that I had to get up for work because I think there was already light in the room. I am like on the verge of waking up. It's one of those where you have like a dream kind of thing that's going on, and yet you feel like everything is happening, or like I was at least back in my body kind of a thing. But then I look over by my window and there's like this alien standing there. It's like one of the grays, if you will, and like I'm just kind of like, what? And it kind of stops, like it was looking at me too, and I'm just kind of like, but I had this overwhelming sense of that I was being checked in on. It's like, I don't even know what that means, but it freaked me the fuck out, and so I stopped meditating for a while because I didn't know what to do with that. And then when I did start getting back into it, I think I blocked myself from those kind of things coming up because I had panicked. I think that's generally not something to do if you're trying to get more into this stuff. Don't panic. No, weird shit is going to happen. But that was especially weird. And then I couldn't do anything for a while, and it just kind of froze up. It's like, I don't know what any of this means, but everything is, I don't know. It's just weird now. Yeah, so, okay. I got back to, I think that was kind of where I was going earlier, but, because I wondered because of the empath thing, and, I gave the backstory on that, but then I got back into, where I got these videos, and then it was going to the meditation point, I think, but I don't remember why. Fuck. We're getting better, we're still not there yet. Yeah. Oh, the bird's screeching, but if I get in the car, then the dog's going to be acting up again. Oh, he's laying down now. But if I get back in, he's going to start. Yep, he's back here again. I want to be in the car, but I don't want you yelling at me, and I don't want to hold you. I don't want to hold you right now. Lay down. Lay down. Or sit. 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 That was almost a sit. Sit. Where's your sit, man? Sit. 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 No. Other people might have dogs and don't want to hear you barking. Stop. I don't want to touch your face because you got pooped on. Yeah, well, you did it. You did it. Stop. Stop. Okay, I'll just take my coat with me this time. Fuck it. Screw you, man. I'll be out here. Yeah, so I don't remember why I got to that point again. Such is my life, man. I don't remember what I was talking about. Okay, the empath thing. It would be better if I didn't have to go into and back out of all these things. It's like I'm weaving these different things together at once, and I know that's part of what I'm actually supposed to be doing, but at the same time it's like, man, it makes it easy to get lost. In other news, at least I'm in a better mood than yesterday, because yesterday sucked, and I woke up this morning, I wasn't feeling fabulous, especially when I had to start with my day with my freaking mom calling me from the other room, for that bullshit. It's like, I don't know. Oh, maybe I'll just wrap it up because I don't know what else. And it's chilly. And if he's going to be an asshat, I can't sit in the car and do it, so... Which is why I stopped doing them in the car with him in the car. At least when we're at the house, then he can lay there and be by my foot or run into the other room and be fine. I know. Okay. So last night I was annoyed enough with my mom being my mom. You know, because it was after the video I did where it's my 2 steps backwards kind of a week thing. And so I have this bottle. It's a glass bottle. I got it at like Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something. I think Hobby Lobby. And just a bottle with a little lid that can, you know, you can flip the little metal thing and it pops the lid off or holds the lid down, right? And what I use this for is my manifestation water, right? So I will fill it with the water from the fridge, and then I will, you know, write out some intentions or things that I want to bring into my life. And the current big one is a way out of this freaking town. And so I can actually completely disconnect from my family for good. And so I went ahead and finished what was in it yesterday and cleaned it last night. And I take it to the kitchen, and Gracie's sitting there, and my mom's sitting at the end of the table for some reason, in my dad's normal spot instead of her normal spot. And, you know, I'm washing this bottle. And she says, "What is that?" And I said, "A bottle." And that wasn't good enough for her. She kept fishing, right? Then I said a bottle like a few times. And then she says, "It looks like a wine bottle." It's like, well, it's not. It's a bottle. And I finished washing it, dried the outside of it, and then started filling it from the fridge, right? So she saw that I was just putting water in it. But it's like she was trying to trap me in something. It's like, there's nothing to trap me in on this one. If you want me to tell you the truth that I want to manifest my way out of this place so I don't have to deal with your ass anymore. I mean, I'm not above saying that. I'm trying to avoid it at this point in time just because I'm trying to keep the peace enough until I can, or until I have a way out. Because it's already bad enough living with the fucking narcissist to begin with, but you know, why draw unnecessary attention when I can just avoid her otherwise? But yeah, it was like driving her nuts because I wouldn't tell her what the bottle was for. It's like, I just washed it, refilled it, and took it on. But yeah, when she's trying to blame it or accuse me of it being a wine bottle, it's like, nope. Might look like it, but it's not. I don't care. It's like, you think whatever the fuck you want to think anyway, because you always have done what you wanted on that end. I think that's the first time I've actually said that about my mom. And yet I've talked many times on here about with my ex-husband, anytime, you know, like it came to getting another animal or getting the fucking car that I did, I wanted to put the tax money on getting the car we already had fixed, and he didn't want any part of that. He wanted to buy a new car. So, you know, that's how I was always with him, was you're going to do whatever the fuck you want anyway, so stop acting like you actually give a shit about what I have to say about anything. You know, but it's like, I am realizing that I've always kind of had that with my mom as well. But it was having that situation with my ex before I really realized that piece with my mom, I think. You know, and then even my grandfather and piecing all that shit back together. Another last night thing. She calls me into the kitchen from my office because she needs help putting tape on her ace bandage on her broken arm. And First off, I would have been able to figure that out on my own. She was, I'm confident she was just trying to pull me in and try to get some kind of access to my energy further. But she needed 3 pieces of tape cut and put on this ace bandage that she was holding in place. It's like, so I didn't use the scissors, I just tore it because I can tear that tape. And I stuck the 3 pieces of tape on there, and when I hit when I put the last one on there, she's like, like I just did something like traumatic and terrible and just hurt her so bad, and I was just kind of like, and walked away. It's like, whatever, fuck off. If you have a problem with how I'm going to assist you on this shit, then find somebody else to do it or figure out how to do it your fucking self. But we both know that she didn't want anybody else to do it. She's just trying to get access to my energy because, you know, she gets some kind of for herself if she does that. And so, yeah. But on that note, my hand is cold. Both of them, really, but especially the one holding the phone. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and call it a day. So, as always, I appreciate you. Until the next time, see ya.